Hi, this is my user review of the Dell 2715Q 4K monitor. This monitor I've been using for more than 6 months, and I think I can now give it a balanced review. This monitor forms part of my array of 6 Full HD screens, all Dells, and I have used several monitor makes: Samsung, LG, Asus, Acer, Philips. And the first thing you may notice is that the top of the range monitor is not sitting in the primary position, and I'll explain why now. Before I explain that point, which is one of the challenges of 4K monitors, I'll just tell you a little bit about the monitor for those of you who don't know. It's the P range monitor, which means the standard P1080p monitor is literally identical in the way it looks. So that's the 4K monitor, and this is the just the Full HD 1080p monitor, and they look the same. You couldn't really tell the difference just by looking at it. Going to the back tells a different story. The first beautiful thing about this monitor is it has DisplayPort feed through, which means you can daisy chain the DisplayPort, and I think that's also what increases the cost of this monitor. So what I did do is I'll connect one DisplayPort here, and instead of running another DisplayPort from my hub, my DisplayPort hub, I can just bounce it off here through the monitor and go to the next DisplayPort enabled monitor. Another great thing of the Dells, is one of the reasons why I go for them, is the Visa bracket. This is your 100mm Visa bracket standard fitting, which is very important, as you can see when you mount it on a desk stand like that one, or on a wall like that one. Other than that, it has some other connections. It has the HDMI, it has a USB hub built in, and that is USB 3. It also has an audio out. The power supply of the monitor is built in, which means it just needs an electrical cable. It does not need a AC/DC adapter, which is another reason why I like the P range of monitor. Is I just plug it straight in, and there is no power supply lying on the floor or something like that. In terms of the front of the screen, we've got the 4 buttons here, and the only real difference is in terms of the menu options, is the DisplayPort, which you can see it has an option for. Let's just get to that menu. Where is that thing? Display, there we go. And you can see now in the menu it gives you the MST. Do you want to set it as primary or secondary? And that's important. Right. Now, if you look currently at my resolution, it's sitting at 1920 by 1080. And that's the problem with this monitor. So you might be wondering, what's wrong with that? Alright. What I didn't take into consideration, which is not the monitor's fault, but it is my fault, is that if you have an array of HD monitors and they are operating at different resolutions, it presents some errors. Now, what error am I referring to? The error is as follows. I'm going to now show the error. Okay, I'm just showing the four of my 6 monitors, and I'm going to now adjust the resolution just using Windows display settings. Now let's change the Dell 4K monitor to its full resolution, and I do so over here. Now I will run it at the recommended resolution, and there we go. It will come on now. all the monitors are just resetting. So I will just place this one over here. The first thing you can notice is, look at that, it really interferes with the layout of these screens. For example, if you're looking at the mouse, the mouse is sitting here in the top monitor, and I want to go sideways into the Dell monitor, then look what happens. I'm sitting with the mouse here. Now look at that. You can see it does not move. I don't know if you can see the mouse, but the mouse is sitting here. Now I'm in the middle of the monitor. Now I want to go to the middle of the 4K monitor, and you can see how that. Now that's quite annoying. So that's the first problem with going 4K while the rest of the screens are at 1080p. Looking at the bottom monitor, you can see how I'm in the middle of the bottom monitor. I'm sitting here, and if you can see it flashing around there. And when I go to the Dell, the 4K, you can see it lands up there. Now you can shift the screen around and so on, but you can't get away from this problem. So that's the first problem. The second problem is this. Now watch the mouse speed. I'm moving the mouse left to right at a constant speed. Now when I get to the 4K monitor, it immediately slows down. So that's because of the DPI. You see, the mouse is set to dots per inch, so there are fewer dots on this monitor, so it tracks quicker across the monitor. While the 4K, I have to move the mouse even further with more vigor to get the same effect. So if you're working on a Word document and you want to share it or view it across two screens, it's not going to be that nice when you've got a 4K and a 1080p. So there is my Word document, and now I want to snap it to both screens. That's the Windows button and up, Windows button and down. Okay, it won't do it with this resolution. Let's do it manually. There we go. So this is demonstrating the challenges of mixed resolutions on a array of monitors. Now this is why I had to move this monitor, because unless you go all 4K, you're going to have this problem. And this was an oversight which I made, and that is why I had to move the monitor out of the central position. So you might be saying, well, why not put this higher resolution Dell in the middle here and just run it at 1080p? And the challenge with that is a monitor not running in its native or recommended resolution actually looks worse. So if you had to say to me, if you had to comment and say, if you had to say to me, what can you say about the rendering of the imagery on the monitor? Is the 4K monitor providing a better picture than the 1080p monitor? Yes, when it's set to 4K, it really looks much better. The text looks smoother. I can actually demonstrate that. I'll put some text on here. It's outstanding. However, when I run this at 1080p, the standard S range or the P range of just 1080p monitors actually perform better than the 1080p. There is some smudging, and that's the nature of it, because it's not its native resolution. So that's the challenge of going 4K. If you've got one monitor, go for it. And this is your baby. If you've got one monitor and you're going to go 4K, this is your baby. If you've got two monitors and you're going to go 4K on each, this is your baby. But if you've got an array of screens and you spend hours on the computer and you're pedantic like me, then it's going to bother you when you're tracking your mouse from one screen to the other, and suddenly it slows down. it's very frustrating. It actually slows my work down. So that is why I have a 4K screen running at 1080p. So if I have to review this monitor, I would say picture, 9 out of 10. Color, 9 out of 10. Construction, perfect, no problem. Ports, perfect. That's a 10 out of 10, especially with the display ports. Even I think it's even got a mini display port option there. So what's the problem? The problem is the context. Where are you placing this monitor?